Okay, and we're back. I accidentally hit a button on the phone, which turned my filming off. So we're back. Okay, let's see here. If we can just get this on here. We'll turn this to orientated here so you guys got a better idea. Okay, so this is my first time I've done a demonstration like this. So bear with me. The my video quality probably isn't the greatest as far as what I'm doing, but I just want to get the information out so you know what to do. You know how to put one of these pumps together when you get it. So the first thing you're going to do, and I like to take an old paint stirrer and you take a couple strips of sandpaper and some double stick tape. I like the 3M, the heavy duty permanent double stick tape. You just put a couple stripes of that on here, and then you just put your little pads of sandpaper on there, and you got a nice sandpaper, nice little piece to use, big emery board, and they're cheap. If you end up with a bunch of plastic in there like that stuff will come out. I usually use a vacuum cleaner. Like on my workbench, I have two pieces of sandpaper that I've been using for the last year. And when it gets full of plastic, I just suck it up with the vacuum cleaner and takes pretty much all the plastic out of it. And then you can use it again. So, we're just going to, we'll file, make sure that's nice and flat on top. Hit the sides, knock off the bumps, I'm not really actually sanding it, so you'll probably have to do more than that. But the stuff actually is pretty easy to sand. So basically just a couple hits with this thing like this, just a couple strokes will take off quite a bit, especially if you just have the little bumps to take care of. This one's a little bit, oops, I'm not even, sorry, I was off the camera. I was looking at it rather than on the camera. So, you just go like that, and you just make sure they're nice and flat. Now, what if you make a mistake and you go too far down? Well, these are based on the Tokheim model 952. And the 52 in the the model number stands for how many inches it is. So with this piece up here, which usually has a little sign on it, but it came up really ribbed on the 3D print, so I decided to not go that route. Now, if you really wanted to, you could sand this down to a lot thinner, and you would have a pump, a 948 model, which is the 48-inch pump model. So there's, don't despair if you accidentally sand one down a little bit farther than the other one, and you're like, oh my gosh, my pumps are ruined. They're not ruined. You'll just end up having to go with a 948 instead of a 952. You're just going to take a little bit more off the top and just make sure they're even. And if you mess that up, well, you can get a hold of me and order another kit. The kits are only going to be $10, so I'm keeping the kit cost down. The finished pumps are going to be a bit more expensive. They start at $30 a pair, plus shipping. And that's because I have a lot of work in it. And I actually would rather people buy the kits and do it themselves. So we're going to get more into this kit here. So now we have this sanded. We're going to prime it. Okay, you want to prime this. This is this is plastic resin. Doesn't have any coatings or anything on it. But if you just paint it, you're not going to get a real good result. The paint isn't going to stick real well to it. I mean, it'll stick well enough, but if you want to go the extra step, and I think it's a step you really should take, you really should prime it. And I use the Tamiya Fine Surface Primer in white for these. Give it a real light coats. I just put a little blue tack on the bottom, mount it on a piece of cardboard like this or on a nail head, and you just want to give it a couple really nice light coats, even. It'll fill in some of the imperfections. Then you could even sand it down if you really wanted to get rid of these 3D print ridges that are on here. you know, if they drive you nuts, you can. I would recommend before you sand it down, I would recommend priming it, then sanding it, and then you can prime it again because that way you're not taking the plastic and changing um, the diameter of this piece. It would kind of, you know, make it off a little bit. But anyways, um, so okay, so we have the primer done. Oh, I did skip a step. Before you prime, you're gonna want to drill. The holes here on the sides aren't big enough. They're not deep enough to to accommodate the pump handle. And if you noticed on these guys here, the pump handles actually go in and they come out. See? I don't know if I can get that back in that easily because I'm doing this one-handed, but it does go back in there. It does, trust me on that. So if you want to be able to remove your nozzle to, you know, display it with maybe, you know, somebody's hand or put it in a car or whatever, you can do that. So you're drilling up at an angle. I'm not sure the exact degree of angle that I'm using here, but let's see here. You know, at approximately kind of like that. Okay. Now, you don't have a whole lot of room before you poke through the top, so you really want to be careful on your depth. And, you know, you just use a little drill. Don't use a Dremel on this. And just make your angle up like that. Okay? So that'll accommodate, you go in just a little bit, and then you can push your nozzle in for storage later. Now, when I first had these designed, I had them put the hole here on the side to take the hose. But when I started looking at the pictures a little closer, I noticed that the hose actually comes out from the bottom here. So what I've been doing, at least on the single pumps, now on the double pumps I've been running them out the sides. But on the single side, the single nozzle pumps, I just go in and drill into the side a little bit. You know, you're just going in, you know, like 1/8 of an inch. You're not really going in that far. Yeah, maybe a little more. You know, and that'll make sure that when you add this guy on later, that is going to go in that hole. Could make that a little deeper. And that way when you glue it, you got the wire inside and you got contact with the case of the wire on the top. So that way it's not going to break real easy off the bottom. And then you can curl it up. Okay, let's put that back. Okay, where am I? So we got the drilling done. Now we primed it. So we're ready to start painting. Now, the way I do it is these pumps are, you know, if you look at the pictures of the pumps, they're mostly silver. They have white faces, but the tops and the sides are silver, are like chrome, and across the top, the sides down here. And now on the front panel is usually the color of that they're using for the pump. So you can see here we got, you know, the light blue for the Gulf, the white and the orange, and then, you know, you got the yellow for the shell, and then you can see here on the side you can see the chrome. Okay. So I'm sorry this is getting long, but if you're interested in buying a pair of these pumps and doing it, you know, watching this video will save you a lot of aggravation because I've already went through the aggravation for you. Okay, so you want to do the chrome. You got it primed and everything. I use the Molotov liquid chrome. Works really good. And you can take the cap off of these, and say you got one that's really thin, and say, or you got a bunch of them. Like I was doing 60 pumps. So what I did is I unscrewed this piece on screws, and then you got the paint reservoir in here because these are actually refillable. And then you can use it without having to pump the living crap out of it. It saves you paint because you're not pouring it onto piece of cardboard or something like that, and then, or into a dish or something, and then you're losing paint that way. But the liquid chrome paint works really good for the side, or you can use silver. It's just silver model paint works good too. Um, I like this a little better. You get this at pretty much Hobby Lobbies, cover it, got it. Your local train store, and I hope you guys are supporting your local hobby and train stores first. You can get that. Usually they carry that there also. Okay. Um, so now we have the chrome on. We're just saying we have the chrome on. I'm not actually going to do it. The next step is you leave the face white. The primer, it gives a nice coating of white to the face. All the faces are white that I've seen on these pumps. So you move on to the next step is painting the front. I use Tamiya. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, or Tamiya. However you pronounce it, that's what I'm using. That's what it looks like. Available at your local hobby shop. It's a good paint, much better than Testers. But if it's all you got, use Testers, or use the Krylon or the Rust-Oleum paint and primer for plastic. If you have to, this stuff tends to be heavier than the Tamiya, but it's half the price. So if you're looking at cost, go with the Krylon or the Rust-Oleum. If you're looking at quality, you want things to really look nice, use the Tamiya. Okay. All right. So now we got it painted. We're ready for the next step. The next step is the decals. Now the decals are not pre-cut. You're going to get them in sheets like this that are not cut. You're just going to, you'll have to cut them out yourself. Now, if you cut them out to fit, say you cut, these little things out, you're going to have to pick at the sides of them. You're just going to have to, I'm just grabbing this isn't a decal, but you'd have to go like this and try to get that little piece to come up, and then use a tweezers. Do not use your fingers on these, because if you use your fingers, you are going to end up, excuse me for a minute, I'm going to go grab a tweezers here real quick. But if you don't use the tweezers and use your fingers, you're going to have fingerprints over your decals, and that's going to show through on the other side. So when you put your decal on, it's going to have fingerprints. So what you want to do with these is first just trim the sides like this. You can see these ones already have trim to fit. Okay, so you trim the sides, but you leave the material in between, because what you're going to do, and you know what, we're just gonna do this. Okay, so bear with me for a minute here. I'm gonna try to carefully trim this so everybody gets an idea what I'm doing. So we're just gonna carefully get that here. I'm not doing the greatest job, but that's okay, because if you end up with a little extra material, just have to shave it off. Then I use a chisel bit. You can use a regular X-Acto blade. I like the chisel bit. So you come in and you're just going in a little bit. You don't want to cut all the way through, but you want to cut through the decal itself. And you just kind of go like so. Not too hard. Okay. So once you got that, you can peel the decal. And we're going to do it with one of these here. Grab that here. Okay. So what you want to do now, you should be able to, a lot of times, you could go like this, and it's going to, pop up a little bit if you got it cut right. So then you just get your little corner under it and pick. Sometimes they go a little easier than this. This one's not cooperating real well. Let's try this side here. And sometimes if you cut too much, you'll end up with the base coming off if you cut a little bit too deep. Like on this one, I cut a little bit too deep. So you basically, you're just going to want to come from the side and just pick at it with your tweezers until you get a corner up. And then you can just peel that guy right off of there. See? Now, you can, you should have these, you should have these trimmed to fit before you do that. But we're just going to put this on, even though we don't have this pump done. So we're just going to get it centered the best we can. I'm not doing the greatest job right now. Now, these you can push around a little bit. I made that a little bit too big. But you can push them around a little bit to move them, and then you just push down. When you get them where you want them, push them down and, rub them a little bit, and that will make sure that they stick properly. Okay? All right, so we got the decals, we got it painted, we got the decals on. We are ready to do the rest here. Let's see. This is where we're at right now, okay? Sides are painted, the decals are on, the holes are drilled, she's ready to go, okay? So now you got to do the nozzles. These things are tiny, okay? Thing I found best to do is you take your X-Acto knife and you just put it flat like that and just run it along the circumference, just push the thing and just give it a little twist and just trim off the insulation, and you'll end up with a little spike of wire sticking out, and that way you can stick it in the hole that you made like so, and then it, like I said before, it gives you more contact and it makes it more sturdy and less likely to fall out. Okay, so now let's move over here. I'm already working on a bunch of these. I use Loctite Ultra Gel. I found that Loctite is the best of the super glue brands as far as what I need it to do. Do not use Gorilla Glue. Do not. Just don't use it. Gorilla Glue swells up and it will make you cry. And it's very hard to get rid of once you do that. So let's get going on the next step here. The next step is going to be doing the pumps, the nozzles. Okay. And the way I have it, I just got it set up here. I use a piece of glass. The glue reacts less to glass and makes it a lot easier to get them off. You can sit there and hold it with the tweezers, if you wanted to, and, try to, use another tweezers to put it on. But I find that just to be real cumbersome. So what I do is I have my nozzles laying on flat on the glass. It's kind of hard to see, but there's nozzles right here. And then I got my trusty super glue here. And I'm just going to put a dab, and that's why the gel works really nice, because the gel stays where you put it, okay? So now that we got this on here, we're just going to set it right up on there and just let it go. There we go, just like that, okay? Let it dry. Now, once they're dry, the last thing you're going to want to do is pick this thing up by the wire and try to just pull it off, okay? I already have these loosened, so I can do that. But if you do this, there's going to be enough of the glue sticking on that nozzle, it's going to pop that nozzle off, and then you're going to cry and curse, and you're going to have to do it again. So what I do is, these guys down here, these guys are pretty firm. You can see I can't move that. You take your X-Acto knife, and you just get underneath it like a spatula, and just carefully pull it up. Because you don't want to break it, because then you got to do it all over again. There we go. Let's grab that little guy. See? Now there's a little extra glue on here. You can scrape it off with a blade, or you can put a little dab of paint over it. Whatever you want to do to keep it going here. Okay. So now, we got our pump ready to go. We got our nozzle here. Grab that with a. Okay. All right. Now this is one that you put in the side, but because it's a double. But if it was a single, you just pop it up in here, and the nozzle just goes up in there. Okay. So now you got the nozzle on. The next step to finish is the base. Now, I include a couple little plastic bases. Okay, they're already cut size. All you got to do is paint them. How I paint them is I put a little piece of double-sided tape down on my little piece of cardboard that I'm painting on, and then I just hit them with some semi-gloss black, and then you just put a dab of glue on there, and you can just glue that guy right back on there. See? And then you're done. So, it's a little bit of work, but you're saving, money over having me do it. And I'd actually rather have you buy the kits, to tell you the truth, because I got so many other things to do besides making these little pumps. And I'm just basically making these pumps so that I can recoup the investment that I put into the decals and having them 3D printed and all that. But I'm really happy with the way they turned out. And they are definitely going to be going on my layout real soon. I'm going to replace my green light pumps that are from like the 40s and 50s. And I'm finally going to get some pumps on my gas stations that are going to match the time period that I'm trying. So basically that's it. If you got any questions, feel free to ask. Write down in the comments. I'll answer questions as much as I can. I'm generally pretty good about that. I hope to be getting into soon, starting to build the buildings again, but right now I got to get these pumps done. I got people that are waiting to buy them, and then I have to take care of things around the house for my wife to keep her happy, to allow me to do what I do down here. So hopefully I'll get another video out in a couple weeks. We'll start working on some buildings for the diorama. Get those in. We'll teach you how to convert a HO scale building into a S scale size building so that it's proper. And then we'll show you how to scratch build. So we got some exciting things coming up if you're interested in learning how to build a diorama. And in the meantime, stay tuned and tell your friends, and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Please like the video. It helps us a lot. Helps me a lot to get more viewers. I'm just kind of I'm not doing this as a business. This isn't my business. I'm retired. I like to make a little extra money here and there, but I'm basically it's all about the diorama for me. So if I make any money, it goes right into my diorama. So stay tuned, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.